Y'all know me, I love making candy for Christmas. And don't worry, they're easy to make, and I'm telling you, your friends and family are gonna love them. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie, and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 6 of the best Christmas candy recipes you are gonna go crazy over. Okay y'all, let's get started. These gingerbread truffles are definitely gonna be a best ever sweet treat recipe. I'm gonna be using store-bought ginger snaps. If you haven't ever tried them, you need to. They are so good. I put them in my food processor and I ground them into fine crumbs. And you can also put them in a Ziploc bag and beat them with a rolling pin. I ended up using this whole 14-ounce bag, and that gave me 4 cups of cookie crumbs. Now to that, I'm adding 8 ounces of softened cream cheese. I'm using my mixer. You can also use a stand mixer, but I'm just going to mix this until it's well combined. It'll end up being like a crumbly cookie dough. You just want to make sure it holds together and that you can form a ball with it. And you can see there were still a few pieces of cream cheese in there that didn't get completely mixed up, but it does not have to be perfect. I'm using my baking sheet, and I'm not putting this in the oven. I just like to use this when I'm making candies and treats and stuff. There's a lot of room on here and I can spread them all out. I'm using my cookie scoop to make sure they're all the same size. And this one holds 2 tablespoons to give you an idea. You're just going to scoop that mixture and roll it into a smooth ball. And you can do these smaller or bigger or whatever you like. Now these are going into the refrigerator to chill for 30 minutes. Here they are out of the refrigerator. I wish y'all could smell these. Those ginger snaps smell so good. I grew up eating these and they're delicious. And now we're ready to dip these things in chocolate. I'm using Vanilla Almond Bark, but you can also use chocolate. I only used about half of it, about 12 ounces, and I just microwaved it according to the package directions. You're just going to drop those truffles one at a time into that melted chocolate or almond bark. I just roll it around and tap off the excess, and then I place it on my baking sheet. Or you can use a wax paper lined tray, or you can even spread you out some foil and place it directly on the counter. You just want to place them somewhere so they can sit there for a little bit until they're completely set. These do not have to be perfect. And someone mentioned here recently, when you're dipping things like these, she said to use a plastic fork and break out the middle 2 prongs. That makes it a little easier, and then you can throw the fork away when you're done. So I thought that was a really great tip, so thank you for sharing. And I just had to sprinkle these with some sanding sugar. You can also add sprinkles, but you'll want to add those before that chocolate has time to set. If you're needing these to be done soon, you can just toss them in the refrigerator and they'll set up quick. These turned out so pretty, not to mention they were absolutely delicious. And they were almost too cute to eat. And I had to show you what the inside looks like. And I'm telling you, if you make them, they'll be gone quick. They're a new family favorite. This Oreo peppermint bark is so good. The recipe called for 2 of the 10-ounce bags of white chocolate melting wafers, but I just used 20 ounces of white chocolate chips. Now we're going to melt it. You can melt it over a double boiler or in the microwave in 30-second intervals. And in a separate bowl, I also melted down 10 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I'm using a 10-ounce package of Oreo Thins, and I have a sheet pan lined with foil. By the way, I highly suggest using the thin Oreos for this. And you're just going to take each Oreo and dip it in the white chocolate and then place it on the sheet pan. And I did try to make sure I placed each of those Oreos together touching. And you're just going to do this until you've used up all of your Oreos. Now, I probably should have popped this in the refrigerator for just a few minutes to kind of set up a little bit, but I did not. Now you're going to take that remaining white chocolate and pour it all over the top of those Oreos. And you're going to spread it out and try to do this very gently. That way the Oreos won't move all over the place. That's why I said it might be a good idea to pop it in the microwave. But you just want to spread that white chocolate on and make sure you get all down in between those Oreos. Now we're going to take that melted semi-sweet chocolate and pour it over the top. And then I just used the back of my spoon to kind of spread it out. And it's okay if you get some of that white chocolate mixed into the top. It does not have to be perfect because we're about to sprinkle something over the top. Just try to make sure you completely cover all that white chocolate. I used 4 candy canes for this. I unwrapped them and put them in a Ziploc bag and I beat them with my rolling pin. Then I sprinkled those all over the top. Now you can let this sit out on the counter to completely set, or you can pop it in the refrigerator to chill to make it set up a little faster. Don't put it in the freezer though. I have made that mistake being impatient, and it just messes the look of that chocolate all up. This was delicious. These candy cookies are a family favorite. This recipe came from a church cookbook that my mother-in-law had given me. It's similar to the no-bake chocolate oatmeal cookies, but trust me, you're gonna love it. In a medium-sized pot, I added 1 stick of butter. I let that melt. Then I added in 2 cups of granulated sugar, along with 1/4 cup of cocoa powder and 1/3 cup of milk. Then you're going to whisk this until it's well combined. Then you're going to bring it to a boil, and I let it boil for 1.5 minutes. After 1.5 minutes, you can go ahead and add in 1/3 cup of peanut butter. Now I'm adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I stirred that and made sure all that peanut butter was melted down. Now it's about to get really good here. I'm adding in 2.5 cups of shredded sweetened coconut and 1 cup of chopped pecans. You're going to quickly stir that until it's all well combined. Go ahead and remove it from the heat and head over to the counter. And I'm just using a cookie scoop to drop it by the spoonfuls or by the scoopfuls onto some foil. And you do want to work quickly here because they will start to set up fast. Just leave mine out on the counter for a few hours until they're completely set. These are some of the best cookies ever. By the way, now that Christmas is here and almost gone, what recipes do y'all want to see next? I'm curious. I really hope you give these a try. I think you'll love them. This maple walnut fudge turned into maple pecan fudge. Let me just show you how I did that. I'm using a double broiler, but you could also use a saucepan. You're going to add in 3 cups of white chocolate chips and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Whichever way you do it, make sure the heat is on low, because you do not want to burn those white chocolate chips. And make sure you stir it constantly, but it should only take about 5 or 6 minutes. I almost forgot to add in the butter. I'm adding 4 tablespoons. Okay, while that's melting, I'm adding walnuts to this. Well, I was adding walnuts to this. And I got the bright idea to try to toast them up first. I used about 1.5 cups. And y'all know how it is in the kitchen when you're trying to do more than one thing at a time. I was doing everything else and I started to smell something burning, and it was my walnuts. Oh, I was so upset. I know they don't look that bad from here, and I was gonna try to pick them out, but I tasted one and no, it was not good. But thank goodness I had some pecans in the pantry, so I just started over. And back to that melted white chocolate, I added in 3/4 teaspoon of maple extract, along with those perfectly toasted pecans. I had to grab some of them back out of there because I wanted to save a little bit more to have some to sprinkle on top. You're just going to stir all this around and get it mixed together. Then you can remove it from the heat and we can go ahead and pour it in the pan. I'm using an 8 by 8 inch baking dish that I've lined with foil and parchment paper. That makes it a whole lot easier to lift out. And make sure you have that dish or pan ready to go, because you'll want to pour that fudge in immediately after you take it off the heat. By the way, if you're enjoying this easy recipe, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and it lets me know that you want to see more videos like this. Now I'm topping it with those reserved pecans. And I tried to gently press them down into that fudge just a little bit. I wanted to make sure they stuck in there good. And you'll want to leave this out on the counter to completely cool. Then you can place it in the refrigerator to chill and set up. This turned out so good. Actually, one of the best fudge recipes I've ever made. And make sure you cut it into small pieces because it is very rich. But this is definitely something I'll be making again. And the only thing I know to call these is old-fashioned peanut butter balls. My Mima and my grandma make them this way, and they're not just the basic peanut butter balls. And I'm using my mixer for this. You can do this by hand, but I figured I'd make it a little bit easier on myself. So in the bowl of my stand mixer, I added half a cup of peanut butter. I used the creamy kind, along with 2 sticks of melted butter and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And you're just going to mix this until it's well combined. And we have just a few more things to add. I couldn't find graham cracker crumbs at the grocery store, so I'm just using a box of graham crackers. I just put mine in the food processor and blended them into fine crumbs. You'll just need 2 cups worth. I'm also adding 1 cup of the sweetened shredded coconut and 1 cup of chopped pecans. We're going to give this a really good mix before we add in the powdered sugar. It's just much easier to mix that way instead of trying to mix it all together at one time. And you'll need 1 box or 1 pound of powdered sugar. Go ahead and add that in and mix it until you don't see any more of that dry powdered sugar left. Oh, and if you love easy recipes, I have a lot of dinner ideas and of course the desserts on my channel. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get notified of all my future videos. And you'll want to be able to form a ball with that mixture. If you can't and it completely falls apart, just add in a little more peanut butter. Add it just a little at a time until that dough sticks together. And we do something like a 1.5 tablespoon size ball. And as you can see, it does not have to be perfect. We're about to cover them in chocolate. And yes, we still had some of that chocolate left over from the Christmas candy, so we just kept going with that. And I'll show you in a minute here the amount of chocolate you'll need if you just make the peanut butter balls. And I do the same for these as I did for the Christmas candy. I dip them in the chocolate and then scoop them up with my fork and then tap off the excess. I know some people use a toothpick to do this, but I have never had luck with that. They either won't stay on the toothpick or they get stuck on the toothpick and I can't get them off, so I just stick with the fork. If y'all only knew how much fun we had dipping all this candy that day. I think it's going to have to be a new family tradition. And like I was saying, we used some of that leftover chocolate from the Christmas candy. We did have to mix up a little more. But if you're just making the peanut butter balls, you'll need half of one of these blocks of paraffin wax and 2 of the 12-ounce packages of semi-sweet chocolate chips. We had some of that chocolate left over and I was not going to let it go to waste. We dipped some Oreos and I had a bag of these pretzel rods in my pantry, so I covered some of them in chocolate too. These are quick and easy to make and they turn out super cute. I've also seen people pour the chocolate in a tall, slim glass and dip them in that way, but I already had the chocolate in this double boiler here, so I just kind of tried to drizzle it over the pretzel. And you'll do the same with them, just lay them on some wax paper. And before they have a chance to dry or set up, we're going to add a little bit of decoration. And y'all, you could do this for any holiday really. You can change up the colors, change up the sprinkles. You could dip the pretzels in white chocolate. Just use your imagination and be creative. And I really wish I would have added sprinkles to the Oreos. I'm just sitting here looking at the huge mess we made with that chocolate. But we did have so much fun. And speaking of chocolate, I just did a video on chocolate sop, or you might know it as chocolate gravy. It would be a perfect little sweet breakfast treat to have for Christmas morning. So I'll be sure to link that video in the description box below, just in case you missed it. Look at all these. They turned out perfect. And besides being fun to make, it's so much fun to share with your friends and family. And trust me, you will have a lot to share. And of course, I wasn't going to let you miss out on seeing the inside of these here. And I'm telling you, if you haven't already tried them this way, please do. They are delicious. My family really loves these Mounds coconut balls. I'm starting out by adding a 14-ounce bag of sweetened shredded coconut to a large bowl. I also added 2 cups of powdered sugar and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Now we're going to mix it all up, and you do have to work at it a little bit just to get everything completely incorporated. And this mixture is very, very thick, but just keep stirring. You'll eventually get it all mixed in. It's also very sticky, so I like to pop mine in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, to kind of chill and firm up before I roll it into balls. And when it's ready, I grab a 1.5 size cookie scoop, or you can just scoop little spoonfuls of it. You don't have to have a cookie scoop, but I just scoop them and kind of roll them into a ball, kind of smooth them out and place them back on that cookie sheet. And I did put mine in the freezer for about 30 minutes to chill before I dipped them in the chocolate. I just melted down some of the chocolate almond bark to dip these in, but you could use melted milk chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, or even dark chocolate. Hey, you can even dip them in white chocolate. And I just dip them, roll them around in that chocolate, and then place them back on the cookie sheet. By the way, if you wanted to add an almond to these, you could kind of press one down into the center of each of those coconut balls and get it really covered in that chocolate, and then dip them that way. I've tried pressing them on top of the coconut ball before, but they just didn't stay on quite as well. Or I guess when I went to dip them, the almond always fell off. And I had some leftover melted chocolate, so I decided to dip some graham crackers. And I thought I'd show you what I did. Just super simple, dip your cracker and then sprinkle them with whatever kind of sprinkles you like. And whatever you add sprinkles to, just make sure you do it before the chocolate sets up. And like I said, these coconut balls are a favorite around here. They are delicious. And the chocolate covered graham crackers are perfect to make if you need a super quick and easy sweet treat. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes. Oh, and I want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.